Good day, good day, good day! Welcome! And today we're talking about sustained value creation and making money. So there's a lot of ways we can go about this. We could talk about the systems, the techniques, yada, yada, yada. But I really think the most important thing is to understand what is the mindset of a sustained value creator and what it means to actually create sustainable value. And I learned a lot of this, like when I was starting a bunch of businesses, failing, when I got good at sales, and really started making big income checks. A lot of the principles I kind of learned and came from there. But let's just hop right into it. So, first principle we need to understand is life is a mirror, right? If you want to understand, this is fourth degree concept. And this is called the law of correspondence. And that basically is that within matches without. Or basically your inner state is going to reflect your outer state, and that life is a mirror of that state. So basically, if you're poor in the world, it's because you're poor inside, da 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 da. Now obviously there's layers to that, right? Because what is poverty? What is wealth? What is abundance, right? And a lot of it we are going to ground in the fundamental 3 degree model that we use, which is the idea of spirit, mind, and body, right? Spirit, mind, body, all in agreement with the law of correspondence. Now, there are 3 main rules or lessons that I'm going to talk about and cover today with this concept, understanding that life is a mirror. So if we want to start having life mirror our intentions and what we want, fundamental thing is we need to gain control of our most fundamental resource. And if you guys know what that is, if you don't, here it is. It is your attention. It is not money. It is not your presence. It's not your body. It's not anything. It is your attention. That is your most fundamental resource. And when you take this attention of yours, understanding that life is a mirror, you will channel it by taking 100% accountability for the value you receive in your life by delivering value to others, right? So you're not waiting for a job or hoping something happens or da-da-da-da-da. You are going to focus exclusively on delivering value the best way you know how. So value is essentially anything that creates growth, that creates a condition of prosperity, and that elevates people and is essentially giving people what they want, right? So you're going to focus on giving people what they want and helping them what they want. And you're going to take 100% accountability for that. And then you're going to simply ask for what you already have. Now, this is going from this rule that those who have will have more given unto them, and those who have not will have which has been given to them taken away. Because you can't ultimately ask for something you don't already have. You can't ask for something to show up physically that you don't have spiritually and mentally. And so if, say, you want to be a millionaire, you have to have delivered $1 million worth of value. And you do that by having that spiritually and mentally and simply expressing it. And then it is simply a matter of asking the right people who are in alignment with the value you deliver to return the value that you have already given. And then to do that in a sustainable manner, right? So, because now we're creating value. And so we're creating, that's the first part, value, which is the second part. And then sustain the part, staying present, is simply not focusing on the future or the past, on anything but now. Not focusing on anything but now. Now, why do I say that? Because oftentimes when we think of value creation, we need to understand it's important to have a plan. It's important to have a strategy. Once you lock into a plan or a strategy, the most of the value you're going to get or receive is going to be not based on an idea or a strategy, but how well it is executed. And execution and the excellence and the ability to execute, the ability to perform, comes from our ability to stay present. So when we can stay present, we are able to perform and deliver maximum value based in accordance to what we're trying to deliver. But we first need to understand our life is a mirror. So these are basically this is the basic summary of all the principles, just in the most distilled version that I could give it today. I made a video about it. It kind of crashed and didn't work out or whatever. So this is what we're distilling down. Life is a mirror. You get what you put into it. If you focus on delivering value and you take 100% accountability for the value you deliver, then you will simply, as you are living and delivering that value, you will simply then ask for what you already have, the value you've given. You'll ask for that in exchange. It is as simple as that. Simply, and then you will give to those who can exchange, who see the value, where it is matched, and the market, the people will tell you what it is that they value and what it is the value you're giving. And then you will simply work on delivering that and staying focused and paying attention on the present of delivering that value, and then it'll come. And you might say, well, okay, but what does that actually mean? How does any of that help me? Because a lot of times when we're trying to make money, we're thinking about receiving before we've given anything. And that's a child, right? So children receive before they ever give, right? But in order to grow and nurture, we actually have to learn how to give and nurture ourselves. So if you think about a seed of a tree will grow only after it is nurtured and been given the right environment to succeed, the water and nutrition that it needs, and the space to grow. And it's only after all that time that it eventually delivers fruit, and then it's able to multiply. But that fruit comes only after it has received so much, right? Because it's still in a childlike state. The difficulty is that when we are adults and we grow and we mature, we have to learn to nurture the things within ourselves. We no longer embody the seeds, but we are the gardener. We are the garden. And so that is part of maturity. Maturity is, do I see myself as simply a seed, or do I see myself as the place where the seed grows? And so when we focus on this delivering of value, that creates a mindset where we now expand our awareness and then consequently our attention to the domain of growth and nurturing, which is now we are producers, not just merely consumers or, children. And then as a result of that, because we are in the garden, we can simply ask for what we already have. And when you say, well, don't I ask for some things I don't have? No. The act of asking is really uncovering something that is already there. Think about it when you ask a question. What it is you're trying to discover something that's already there. Asking is not about receiving something that's outside of you. It is simply asking what you already have to be revealed, right? And so by asking the question and by moving to a place of clarity with what we want, we then simply ask to that for others based off of the value you deliver. They will then, through their feedback, give us where our value sits and what they can receive. And then through that, we go through the process of learning and adapting. And this is where staying present is so key. Because then as we stay present, we then begin to understand, where does the value I deliver lie? And what is the reception of that value in the marketplace, in the world? And that's what we have to ask, where am I planting my seeds, and what is the nature of what I am planting? When you put apple seeds in the ground, if they're in the right place, they will grow into apples. But if we are placing them on hard ground, no matter how great the seed is, if we try to put seed on a road, it's not going to grow. So we have to make sure we're in the right environments, and therefore delivering our value to the right people. When we do that and we understand what that looks like spiritually, mentally, it will then show up physically. And then it is simply a matter of walking through and doing the actions. And in order to stay physical, to ground it in our bodies, we simply need to focus on the present. We don't look in the past. We don't look in the future. We simply pay attention to what is happening in front of us. And we focus on delivering value in our spirit first. So this is making sure that we feel this value, and then that accountability, that responsibility to deliver value becomes a matter of our being, where we do not do it based on these lower vibrations. We don't do it based in survival, right? Or we can do it based in survival, which will then reflect the level of value you receive. So if we deliver survival-based value, so if we're always financially unstable, really struggling, it is because the value we deliver is based in survival. And so if we want to simply elevate, we need to ask ourselves, what do I need to do? And this is where we go back to life as a mirror. And if you don't understand this principle, you have to understand everything is about raise or match your frequency to what you desire. It is simple as that. So if I want to be in survival and to barely get by, I will do that. If I want to be comfortable, comfort, oh my God, in the middle, we will be right here. We will be comfortable. Now, if I want to excel and have wealth, then that is also where my heart will be. And the value you deliver will be in accordance to what it is you are moving for. So if you are shooting to barely survive, you will get money that will help you barely survive. And so if you're like, man, I hate this struggle, it's going at, it's like, well, that's the level of value you are delivering. It is as simple as that. And so if you want to have wealth or you want to have comfort, which is barely getting by, comfort is in the middle, guys. I don't know why so many people prioritize it. And the thing about comfort is that it will naturally always pull you down because you're only ever going up or you're going down the scale. And so the idea is that unless you're continually trying to move up towards excellence and wealth, you're just eventually going to shoot back down to survival. This is why people who are stuck in the cycle of going into comfort, dropping back into survival, going into comfort, dropping back into survival, because they're never moving or pushing into this realm of excellence. And unless we shoot for excellence, we won't ever achieve, because the idea is that on the down cycle of excellence, you fall into comfort. When you can't excel, when you can't push, when you're like, oh yeah, man, being excellent is burning me out, you drop down into comfort, right? But you only get that because you're pushing to excel. But because there's the law of rhythm, when you shoot for comfort, when you burn out and you get to the bottom of that cycle, you are eventually going to drop back into survival. It's just how it works. It's a spiral. And so if you constantly find yourself moving through comfort back into survival, through comfort back into survival, it is because you have not embraced delivering value at an excellent level. You will never see someone who is focused on being excellent and delivering value at excellent fall into continual survival, right? Not if they really understand what that means spiritually. And if they understand what that means spiritually, they feel that excellence and they're focused on it, their minds will follow, and thus their body, temporal reality will follow as well. And so in order to do that, we need to set and recognize life is a mirror. So if you want to move up the scale, move up the scale. If you want to stay in the scale, stay in the scale. But remember, wherever I set my sights on is where I'm going to end up, because that's what's going to reflect in the mirror. I need to make sure I'm still recording because it dropped out before. So if you guys are liking this teachings and want to learn more and learn how you can move your life into a sustainable, impactful, and value-aligned life, hit me down below in the link with a description for a session, as well as I have some books as well that are pretty cool. Those are also in the links there. You can go check it out. Place a comment down if you have any questions, any feedback on the video. I'd love to hear it, see what you guys think. But this is ultimately it. It's that the level of value or what you're going to experience in life is going to match the level of accountability you're taking for it. When you take 100% accountability, then you're able to excel, right? If you're taking only 50%, you might be comfortable, drop down into survival. If you take no accountability, you are going to be in continual survival. And so the percentage of accountability you are willing to take for the value you deliver will determine the level of reality you see and experience. So when you take 100% accountability for your survival, the universe will then support you in delivering that by that accountability. Now, accountability is not the same as control. It's not the same as your ego trying to make everything happen the way that you can't force this. But when you take accountability and recognize it is on you to deliver value, the universe will then match you and it'll give you what you already have. So if you are focused on giving 100% value of wealth, it will then return that to you. And if you focus on that and stay present, you will notice in your environment that that will improve. Even if you're in rough situations, this will always be the case, and you will have the means to be able to advance. But you're gonna run your journey, man. Everyone's got a different journey. So what the mirror of life looks different for everybody. What's for some people might be survival, might be millions of dollars, and for other people, what might be wealth might be just, having a sandwich and a place to sleep. You never know. It's a lot of it's about feelings and mindsets. So this is why we don't focus too much on the external. Anyway, this is how you create sustained value creation. Recognize that life is a mirror. The level of value you deliver is going to be directly proportional to the level of agency and accountability you take. Simply ask for what you already have and what you feel like you are delivering and giving, and then stay present with that. Do not look back in the past. Do not project out into the future, but simply stay present with what it is you are delivering and focus on doing that. And then by consequence of your delivering, by consequence of being who you are, the reward will naturally follow. Rewards follow value. Not before, okay? And eventually, now what value we can create can be very interesting, right? Because remember, even OnlyFans models, right? They create a value because a lot of it is in perception. So we can get into those specifics or whatever. I'd love to have any questions you guys have, but that is the lesson for the day. Hope all is well. Stay happy, stay healthy. Peace.